Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew discusses Commander-related topics. And as always, I am joined by my hosts. We'll start it off with Seth, also known as the Panharmonicon Master. How's it going, Seth?
Doing good, Tomer. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Always excited for these subjects that we're going to be jumping into. And next, the next host I've got is Krim, aka Hagar Mauling's biggest fan. How's it going, Krim?
That's what I want on my gravestone. And on top of that, it's going quite all right. We're going to the future. We're seeing Kamigawa. And, you know, that's probably going to be a pretty cool place. This has been a plane I've been very excited to return to. And everything about it so far has been really cool.
Yeah, the hype is real for this, and I think it's lived up to everybody's expectations. So I'm really excited to jump into the cards. And then our final co-host is Richard, a.k.a. still trying to ramp a single time with Cartographer's Hawk. How's it going, Richard?
Doing well. Just searching my deck for planes. We're good.
You have to actually connect.
You still have to actually get the trigger off, Richard.
I've pre-searched.
Forever searching. And then finally, hello, this is Tomer. I am the culture person who has never won with Cauldra. Hooray! So today, as alluded to, we are going to be talking about our favorite cards from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, the latest set that is set to release, I think a couple days after this podcast actually comes out. The full set has just been revealed the day before we started doing this recording. And as always, we decided to talk about our favorite cards from the set. Usually in previous sets, it would be me and Seth discussing our collective top 10. But this time, since we're doing a weekly podcast now, we decided to actually invite the entire group, the entire Commander Clash podcast, to get everybody's opinion on the cards. So the way that we're setting this up, first of all, very important to note, this is not a power ranking scale. This is a hype ranking scale. If you're interested in what the most powerful cards are, you probably want to be listening to maybe like a CDH channel, which can show you what the most powerful cards are at the highest power tables. This is not what we're trying to set out here. We're doing a hype list. So basically the stuff that we are the most personally excited to play and immediately get our hands on and start incorporating in Commander Clash and other games such as those. So it's purely subjective, and it's not at all tied to power. It's just what we're personally excited for. So your own lists on hype is probably going to be very different from ours, but it's going to be what we really like to talk about. And the way we're going to be doing it is each of us are going to get two cards that we're personally hyped for that we're going to talk about. But then there was a bunch of cards when we were setting this up that we kind of all agree are just super really good. So these are kind of like our common picks. So the first card and the second card that we're going to be discussing are the ones that we all just agree we're super hyped for. We're all going to jump in and try to play as soon as the set comes out on Magic Online. So let's kick it off. Krim, tell us about the first common card that we're all excited for, or rather cycle of cards.
Yes. So the first cycle of cards is one that I think we could probably figure out because they're all pretty powerful. It's the Channel Lands. It's a legendary cycle of lands that each, they come into play untap. They add just either, black, white, blue, whatever, and they all have an ability tied to it. So specifically, one you probably are pretty excited for Commander is the Boseiju Who Endures land. This is the one that allows you to go ahead and destroy an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land opponent controls. That player searches their library for a land card with a basic land type. Now that means they can go and get, like, if you kill one of their lands, they can go get like a Hollowed Fountain or something like that. And this ability costs one less for each legendary creature you control. That's going to kind of be the reoccurring theme across all these lands. They'll each do something. They'll have a channel cost, and they'll cost a lot less depending on how many legendaries you control. And of course, the green one is the cheapest because the green is the one that needs the most help, like reducing its cost. So as always, green just the underdog. So I had to also just let everyone know because green is really weak, really weak.
Yeah. full legendary land cycle, and we all agree that all of these are super sweet. But I'm curious, what type of decks are you interested in running these cards in, and which ones are you the most hyped for?
So all of them. All of them. Every deck. They just go in every. We should say the white one is 4 damage to attacking or blocking creature. The blue one bounces something, non-land permanent essentially. Red one makes 2/1/1 tokens. The black one mills through and returns a creature planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. So those are the abilities. They're probably going to be really cheap in Commander because Commander is a format about legends. So even though most of them are like 3 to 4 mana, a lot of times these are going to be 1 or 2 mana, I think, all of them. And I think other than concerns about like my 5-color deck, how many lands can I support? Like it's very similar to Mythic MDFCs. I view these very, very similar to Mythic MDFCs outside of worrying about can my deck support a land that doesn't have a land type, so I can't tutor out with a fetch land and only makes 1 color of mana. I think you play these in basically every deck that can support them. I think the most exciting ones for Commander, green, really good. Lots of artifacts, lots of enchantments, and important non-basic lands. I think that's an ultra staple. I think blue is very good. Just being able to bounce whatever is really powerful. And then I actually think that black is really powerful because graveyard recursion is really, really strong. Being able to get back your best creature or planeswalker that dies later in the game attached to a land that comes into play untapped is really strong. White and red, I'm a little, they're fine and I will still play them, but 4 damage doesn't kill everything in Commander. That's kind of a little hit or miss. And then 2 tokens can be good if you're a token deck, but just in a generic deck, 2/1/1 bodies, I guess you can chump block with them or something. These cards do have flash, quote unquote. You can channel at instant speed, so that's nice, but 2/1/1 bodies isn't that impactful. So I think that's my ranking. Like green way up here, black and blue just below green, and then the other 2, I'll still play them, but they're not as hyped for me for Commander.
Yeah. That means Seth's going to eventually include them because, you know, even the worst MDFCs.
I play soft consumption. I play the Spike Field Hazard, so I'm playing all of these for sure. But
Seth has to like you know, take a few down to look like he's not going to throw them all in the deck.
They're so good.
They're all
they're
going
so
in the
good.
deck.
Oh, they're so good.
This is power crept MDFC, right? They enter untapped.
Yeah.
They're legendary,
No
which is actually just strictly beneficial to you in Commander, right? And there is like no opportunity cost, right? Like this
They
is
can't be
terrible.
countered
Like,
either.
I don't,
Well, they
they're
can
just
be
like auto
stifled.
includes in every single deck. I don't like.
Yeah.
At least with MDFCs, you're like, okay, I have to play a tap land for my undo inversion. This is like, yeah, I got free removal now. Like, good luck.
Yeah,
right? Like, it's so good.
They don't get countered. They don't get taxed. They don't trigger any spell stuff. You're not triggering Goldspan Dragon or whatever, like anything like that. Like these cards are so over the top. And I know we said this isn't a power ranking, but these literally are the most powerful cards. Like if you listen to CDH players, they're talking about like how these cards are going to change their format. So I actually think these actually are some of the most powerful cards in the set, and they're cards that are on our hype list too.
Yeah. It's interesting that compared to the Mythic MDFCs from Zendikar, those ones are very they are comparable in terms of their effect. They also enter the battlefield untapped. But you have to lose 3 life, which, you know, it's a 40 life format, so it's not as impactful as say a 1 versus 1 format where you have 20 starting life. But it is something noteworthy, and this just does not have that ability. The fact that you don't. They're all instant abilities, and you can't really counter them outside of stifle effects, make them worse. I agree with Seth's assessment of them. I do think I'm going to end up playing the white one more than I would typically, though, just because my white decks often have so much graveyard recursion. So like a Sun Titan effect, for example, Seven's Reclamation, those are going into all my decks anyway in white. So just randomly getting to pick off a creature every once in a while and then just, you know, reanimate the land afterwards is pretty spicy. And it just like also the fact that it's legendary. So any legendary matters stuff gets immediately so much better from these lands. They're kind of ridiculous.
The other thing compared to Mythic MDFCs, we mentioned the life thing, which is big. The other thing is the Mythic MDFCs are all really expensive. Like, I love them. I'm the biggest MDFC supporter there probably is, but a lot of them are like 7 mana. They're late game effects. The big difference with these is you're going to be casting it for 1 mana. Like, these are efficient. Like, the green one it's a naturalize. That's a card you would play not on a land in some of your commander decks. And this is just like on a land as a bonus. So they're way, way more efficient than the MDFCs too.
You have a legendary in your command zone. Like,
yes,
you're usually going to cost. It's going to cost 1 less usually, just by default.
I mean, these could cost like +2 mana on channel. I'd still include in every single deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Seriously,
like,
yeah.
your land that doubles as random utility removal later. Like, sure, right? So yeah, like the cost is irrelevant to me.
I have a question for the table. Would you run this in like a 4 or 5 color deck though?
Yes.
I could see Beseiju, yes.
Green and blue.
Like definitely Beseiju. Green, blue, yeah.
Green, blue,
black,
maybe black, depending on what you're
Yeah.
playing.
maybe, yeah. The other two, no.
I wouldn't even play red and mono red, so red totally got hosed. I don't know what they're doing with this one.
I don't think it's that
like,
bad.
Lava axe them or something like that. I would even take that, like it's just a straight lava axe or something, but to each opponent.
I kind of like that the red one's a flash jump blocker. Like, those times when you're about to get, smacked with someone's commander for lethal, like, I don't know, just discard this and make a couple jump blockers to stay alive. So I think it might be like, I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's like, I wouldn't play it in my mono red deck. Like, it's not
I'd rather
that
play it as my
bad.
9th land as I'm
I'm
flooded.
gonna put it in my mono red deck for sure. Like, yeah, it is definitely the weakest in Commander. Like, if you compare that to like the blue one where you just like bounce the creature that's attacking you, like obviously this is a little bit better. But like, if you're playing like Perforos, for example, like there's decks where this effect having 2 creatures is good. And I mean, the worst case scenario is like it's not a mountain in your mono red deck, so like that kind of sucks for like Valakut or whatever. But like, whatever. Like,
Man, it's
the
got a lot.
opportunity cost is so low. Like,
You know what? Here, we'll just do the classic. Well, it's a different name, so Feel the Dead,
Yeah.
it feeds
Feel the
Feel-
Dead.
oh,
Powers
no,
up
it
Feel
feeds
the
Feel
Dead,
the Dead.
baby.
Turns off your snarls though, Tomer. So I don't know.
Oh man! You
yeah,
can't
I
play
guess
this.
I can't run it.
Can't play
I'm not
this.
running. They're trashed here actually in 2 color
Throw
decks.
it.
Unplayable trash. I also like that like these are essentially like I treat these as like an extra land slot because like if their effect is good enough, then like you can run more lands in your deck, and then if you're getting land flooded, you just pitch them for their effect, which is cool. All right, I mean, what more can we say? These cards are very good. We'll go to the other one that we all agree is like bonkers good. Richard, tell us about the next card we got here.
All right, coming in at rare, we have Farewell, 4 white, 6 mana value sorcery. Choose 1 or more. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. So 1 or more. So it's like austere command on steroids. It exiles. It's graveyard hate. It is so ridiculous. I don't know why they had to make white even better. Like this card just like Skyclave Relic just got bumped down a couple notches because of this card, right? Like just the straight up
No.
exile of everything. Like, oh come on,
Skyclave Relic
white.
is safe.
I mean,
Card's so good.
No one's popping the relic with this card. No one cares enough.
oh, the card is so good. It is so
Yeah.
good. When I look at Wrath in Commander, I want them to either be efficient so I can Wrath and then do something else like Toxic Deluge or Vanquish the Horde, or I want them to be flexible so I can kill things of my choice other than just creatures. This is incredibly flexible. It's like a very, I think, upgraded version of Austere Command. I still play a lot of Austere Command. On EDH Rec, it's still a staple. A lot of people still play Merciless Eviction, which has a lot of the same text, except you only get to choose 1. That's kind of a staple. I think this is just like gonna be a part of my Wrath package in my white decks basically forever. And I love that they snuck on Graveyard Hate. Like we always talk about
Yes,
players
that's
playing more
the big
Graveyard Hate.
thing.
This is how you get players to
boy.
play more Graveyard Hate, is you stick it onto onto a Wrath that they're going to be playing for other reasons, and then sometimes you're going to be like, oh, look at that, I can get the Muldrotha player or something. So it like tricks people into doing
the
it.
creatures. You don't even need the graveyard hate on this. It's like such
No, but like
Yeah,
if they
you
have
could,
a full
though.
graveyard, you can literally just if you
might as
just
well
want
just
to get rid
exile
of
everyone's
graveyards,
hands
you can
while
just pay
attacking,
6.
man.
I mean, this card is the truth, though. Like, this is now an auto include, and this is like one of the cards I was absurdly hyped to see, and it dropped like I think today, like right before I went to bed. So like this card is everything you want in Commander. It is so versatile. And I didn't even know that it was choose one or more. I was okay with pick one to like you know what I mean. Like I was like happy with pick one, but one or more. Oh my god, I can eat the cake too. Are you joking? And the best part, it doesn't hit my planeswalkers.
Yeah, you can hit all modes and super friends and just be like,
All modes we doesn't matter. Planeswalkers.
yeah, this card, Merciless Eviction. I haven't been running Merciless Eviction in a very long time, and at this point, this is a final nail in the coffin. I won't even look at Merciless Eviction ever again. Like this is just strictly better than it. And versus Austere Command, I can see some argument for some decks that are like super graveyard, like all in on their graveyard. So like exiling your board of stuff is bad because you intend to recur everything, like you're a Muldrotha deck or something. Well, you couldn't run this in Muldrotha, but like it's something that exiling your own stuff is bad.
Teshar
but,
or
like,
something, yeah.
Yeah, like but like.
Teshar
In
need board
99% of decks, this is better. And then even in a graveyard heavy deck, just like you want to run like a creature board wipe in a creature heavy deck, at least one, because you won't always have a big board of creatures and your opponents will sometimes. This is also still good in graveyard decks because sometimes you won't be in position to that you care about the stuff that you would be potentially exiling. It gets so much. It gets rid of so much. And the graveyard. This is so good.
The awkward part about Austere Command, and I think there's one other situation where Austere Command's still good, which is like weenie decks, because then the like only blowing up big creatures is relevant, like a weird retribution of the Meek effect. So there's probably like some weird scenarios. But the awkward part about Austere Command is if you want to blow up all the creatures, you often got to spend both of your choices on creature modes, and then you can't get artifacts or enchantments. Like this just has so much flexibility. Like you never have to make those tough choices and be like, oh, I can't quite get everything I want. This is like always going to get everything that you want to get.
And if your opponents are running like a lot of heroic interventions, like stuff that gives their permanents indestructible, heroic interventions, one of the most common ones, but there's also like flawless maneuver in white and Akroma's will in white. This is like, nah, you can't. Sorry, got him.
I'll power creep. So now we will get phasing creatures. Right before, like Wrath were too efficient, so WotC put like indestructible and everything. So now we have to exile all those indestructible creatures. So now WotC will make everything fade out, like the robe or whatever, or phase out. So Teferi's protection incoming.
There's like a white 3-mana creature. It's a Spirit Knight, has flash and it phases out all their creatures.
Yep. That's what you need to run now, right?
Yeah,
to protect
Teferi's
yourself.
protection too.
And forget
that
regenerate.
one will stop it too.
Never works on anything.
Richard, I don't think anyone's factored in.
It's been like 15 years since regenerated anything.
This is definitely a
Creatures
symptom
need
of
to
power
survive.
creep.
Creatures
I
need to
haven't
survive.
once thought, oh crap, what if they have regenerate?
Silly skeleton players.
Or skeletons. This is definitely like emblematic of power creep, but it's also necessary because of how much they power creep.
Because of
like,
power creep, we need more power creep, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we have these powerful things that must be answered. Graveyard recursion is so insane now that like you need to have graveyard hate, and you need to have more of it than ever before. So like stapling one of the best board wipes of all time, and then just throwing in graveyard hate is the only way to like actually curb it. And then the next step is going to be like, oh no, there's too many farewells. Let's do all phasing creatures. Let's do all like they can self blink out of the turn. Like, who knows? 2022. Let's go. All right. So those were the cards that we all agree were super hyped to play with. They happen to be the most powerful, which I think hype and power definitely coincide, but that's not necessarily why we picked them. And now we're going to move on to the cards that we are individually pretty excited for. Maybe one or two of us are excited for, but not the entire group. is universally excited for. And I'm going to kick things off with my number one pick that I'm super hyped for. This is Mech Titan Core. This is an artifact, a vehicle. It's a 2-mana colorless artifact vehicle, 2/4 fort stats. It has crew 2, and it has a giant activated ability. You pay 5, and you exile the core and 4 other artifact creatures or vehicles you control to create Mech Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste that's all colors. And then when that token leaves the battlefield, you return all exiled cards exiled with the Mech Titan core, except for the Mech Titan core itself, to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So you're assembling Voltron. You're assembling whatever the Power Rangers thingy was, the Megazord. You're doing that. It's a classic trope. It's everything I love in Magic. I love assembling Voltron-y stuff. Cauldron is kind of like my signature 3 cards, and this is very much in line with it, where you're taking multiple cards and you're assembling them together. Pretty easy to assemble. Like, you don't need specific other cards. You just need 4 other artifact creatures, which is really easy to do, or vehicles. The downside is that it's pretty easily answered. Like, if you bounce it, it has no protection from anything, so any target removal will get rid of it. It has no indestructibility, so all destroy effects work on it. And once it goes away, your Mech Titan core is exiled forever. You get the rest back, but you don't get the Mech Titan core. So it's, on one hand, it can get in there and swing, and you can do 10 damage in the air immediately, and you life swing that. It's really good, but it's probably not going to stick around for very long. And then once it's gone, it's pretty much gone for good. But I think it's really neat.
The card's super cool. Like, it's just such a fun build around. Power level, I think it's kind of medium to low, but I think it's a card that I just can't wait to play. It seems like Calder, but way easier to assemble, because you don't have as stringent of restrictions of having to draw 3 cards. All you gotta do is draw a bunch of artifact creatures or draw a bunch of vehicles, and we got a lot of powerful vehicles in this set, so I think, and powerful vehicle commanders. So the idea of building like a vehicle deck, I think, is much more exciting now than it was before Kamigawa. So I think this card is definitely sweet, but like you said, it is kind of a blowout waiting to happen, and I think the blowout's going to happen more often than maybe a lot of people realize.
But you went down in your Gundam suit, so that's the cool thing here, right? You died in the mech suit. This is like a card where I don't think I've seen the whole, like, the MTG community as a whole just loves it, right? Like, it's just
everyone loves
it. Everyone loves this card, and this is perfect just in time. Like, I already, like, example, when I saw the blue-white vehicles command, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'll probably make one. Then this got spoiled. Now I'm definitely making this. So,
yeah.
Commander Pods, once this set comes out, it's just going to look like the Fast and Furious. Everyone's going to be like having Vin Diesel mods of their vehicle decks, and it's going to be hilarious. Because, dude, vehicles are so cool, and Mech Titan is just, yes, we talk about Voltron, we talk about like this is it, and most importantly, the alternate art, the neon art being an actual mech suit that looks like a Gundam suit has me stoked. Oh my god, I cannot wait for this to come out. I cannot wait.
And
It's
isn't
gonna,
like the
I'm gonna
artist
lose a
who
lot
did
of
it
names.
like it's like a famous like mech drawer artist thingy?
Maybe.
Maybe I will
They've
post
probably
add something about it, maybe.
Because it would make sense, right? It would be in line with a lot of the guest artists they've had for this set, between like Metal Gear Solid. They've had, Fist of the North Star. So if it is, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's a Gundam artist. That's my thing.
You know what's perfect about this? It's the Power Ranger colors, right? So what you actually need to do is get a white vehicle, a blue vehicle, a yellow. Oh, there's no yellow.
Oh
No, green, white,
yellow.
black,
Well,
blue.
technically, white
Multicolor.
White is not like one of the main colors.
I guess
that
white
they would
wasn't-
choose, right? 'Cause
yeah,
white
white-
was the assembled That's what they
we'll use the
Voltron
really old
into.
white bordered cards that look kind of yellow.
No, they probably
but you can
yellowed
assemble
by
them
now.
into Megazord or Voltron or Gundam. Like, the showcase art is amazing. You guys see downside. I'm going to stick a bunch of sky scanners under this, so when you remove the Megazord, I'm going to get all my ETB triggers back.
Yeah.
So this thing is actually not a meme. I think it's actually quite decent. You just have to build around it.
I think it's decent, but like what I really like about this card and what Krim touched on that is very like popular, like the community is universally on board with this, is like usually when I see what the most popular cards in a set are, they're usually the most powerful ones. Like power and popularity go hand in hand very often in Commander. And this is one of the situations where like the flavor is so good that like even though it's not the most powerful card, it's still one of the most hyped cards. And I love to see that because it doesn't happen very often. So when it does, it's like, yeah, good job, Wizards.
Yeah, this is just a really, really cool thing. And the only thing that's kind of humorous is that artwork straight up looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It does straight up look like a Yu-Gi-Oh card though, and they do use things that look like that, like Megazords and all of that. So,
all right. Well, after that one, we got Seth. What's one of your favorite cards from the set?
I've been waiting for this day. My number one card, obviously, Ishin to Heavens as one. It's a Pain Harmonicon, someone called it, which I think is a pretty good name for it. It's a attacking Panharmonicon commander. It's a Mardu legend, 3 mana, 3/4. It's a human samurai, and if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability on a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So I know what some people are thinking. Didn't we just get Wolfgar? Isn't this kind of the same as Wolfgar? True, it's in different colors. It is similar to Wolfgar. This is, I think, mostly just better than Wolfgar. It's cheaper and it has more shenanigans. Most importantly, Wizard is going to have to put it on Magic Online, unlike Wolfgar, which they have never done. So I actually finally get to play with a Pain Harmonicon card. But this card's really sweet. It does the same tricks as Wolfgar, where your Italies or anything that has an attack trigger is going to be really, really powerful. But then it's got this slight change in wording that makes it even better. It triggers on any creature attacking, not just your creatures, which gives you this entire second way to build around Ishin, which is like weird enchantments that trigger when someone attacks, like Revenge of the Ravens. Whenever a creature attacks, it's going to drain. Like you can play this weird like Staxy style game. There's curses that trigger whenever someone attacks that player, and you're going to benefit and double up those. So I love this card. I love Panharmonicon effects. I've been playing more aggro decks, so this fits in my like aggro theme, but also still gives me the Panharmonicon effect. It's the first commander I'm building around from the set for sure. Like I'm super hyped for this card.
This card is definitely super sweet. For exactly those reasons, right? Like Revenge of the Ravens, any of the curses, that like it's in the perfect colors to have that, right?
So good.
Does this fix Explorer Scope?
I'm
You
still
get
up
double
Explorer
Scope
Scope
Animus
even better.
triggers. You get double Explorer
Finally,
Scope
people will
triggers.
see. Finally, people. Well, also like Sword of the Animus.
Yeah,
is
Sword
like,
of the Animus.
Sword of the Animus is already a good card. It's an attack trigger. Put a land into play.
Mardu
Like
deck.
ramp out a basic land. Now you ramp out 2. Curse of Opulence is one of my favorite cards. And now you make 2 gold tokens out of it. Curse of
so
Opulence
good.
keeps getting better. How is this 3 mana, by the way? This feels like they should have like added an
It
extra
actually doesn't do anything
mana.
on its own. Like legitimately, it just doesn't do anything on its own. Like if you play this for 3 mana, you cast this on 3. I'm not concerned yet. Now, once you show me like a curse or some kind of enchantment, something like that, then I might care. So
Wolfgar was
it's
5
fair enough.
though.
Wasn't Wolfgar 4? I think it was.
No, he was 5.
Was
but he
it?
had melee.
Oh my god! I didn't
And he
realize
had
it was
one more
that
power.
bad.
He was a 4/4.
I think Wizards wanted this to have a chance outside of Commander. That's my guess. Like maybe like that you can build a fun standard deck or modern deck around it. Probably not like top tier competitive, but at least it would be fun to build around. But so much value.
Triome rotated. I don't know why.
Maybe Wolfgar was just bad.
I
think
don't even
Wolfgar
know
is
which
pretty
one
bad.
Wolfgar is. That's why I've probably forgotten it by now. I looked at
Because
it
it
and
was
immediately.
months ago, Krim. It was months ago from Forgotten Realms Commander.
We've had 400 new legends since then.
For me,
many
it's just
products
like
have
if
come
it's
and
something
gone.
that's not good or something I won't play, I definitely it does not resonate in my mind or memory bank. So
It has green in its cost, so that's probably
yeah.
a Krim
yeah,
just
just throw it away.
plucked
At
it
this
out of his
point,
mind.
it never got printed. So I
feel like it doesn't exist. All right. All right, moving on. Krim, what do you got for us as a favorite card from the set?
a favorite card from this set. Okay, it's led by one card, so I'll choose that for the sake of this list. But it's really just the type, the tribe. But yes, so it's Satoru Umezawa. And you already saw it. That's the first thing that got revealed. And surprise, Dimir guy likes Dimir like card, right? So this card is a legendary creature human ninja 2/4 for 3 mana. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You get to anticipate. Then you put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. And then each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu for 2 and a blue and a black. Now, I know my memes, and I love every one of them, like with Emrakul with the Naruto headbands. I'm somewhat a ninja myself. Like, all of those are great, but believe it or not, I asked for a ninja commander, right? And I think they've delivered here. Now, depending on how you want to build this, yes, you technically could Blightsteel Colossus, aka the Hokage of obviously whatever, Infect Village. That can be a ninja. But I actually am going to be fairly playing this card because I want more ninja stuff, and I don't want Yuriko. So Yuriko lends itself to a lot of like similar play patterns. This card is hilariously fun. It doesn't revolve around me just showing you time warp 50 times over and then you dying, or not time warp, whatever, time stretch. The 11 mana one with delve, and this is it, right? And then like on top of that, there's a bunch of new like ninjas like Nashi. So I'm just excited for that. And you know, opposition agent can definitely. I don't know why I'm ninjutsuing it in, but I could because I can. So I love this card.
I mean, I like this card a lot too. I like that it's a ninja commander that's powerful, that's also not Yuriko, that's just gonna hopefully get you instantly killed because everyone knows how busted it is. So this is still a powerful card, but it's not on that level where you're just gonna become immediate arch enemy. Plus, I don't think you even got to play ninjas. As Crib was saying, like, ninjas in opposition agent, it's just a cool, like, value-y commander, like looping Muldrifters and Ravenous Chupacabras, things with enter the battlefield trigger. So I love this card quite a bit, too. It's not quite Pain Harmonicon, but not far behind on the list of commanders I want to build.
Wait. Well, this isn't a power level thing because Pain Harmonicon, this card is so much better than Wolfgar, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Competitively wise, but as far as what I want to build the most, this is probably like 2 or 3 commanders behind, Ishin.
This is number 1, and because the special promo art is the first thing I gotta get. It's done by the artist who did Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, this set is so sick.
It's a buy a box. Was it also the showcase? No.
I don't know if there's if it's the buy a box but I just know that there is a special art that is done by the Metal Gear Solid artist. If I have to buy a box, it won't be a problem because I wanted to buy one anyway. So
it's the buy a box promo. It's absurd.
Wait. It's a buy a box that you get a chance at getting. Right? Because it's like, right? Because isn't there like multiple like special artworks? I don't know how you get them. Well, anyways, like, yeah.
Who knows these days? There's too many artworks to keep track of. What's in standard? What artwork is where? No one knows.
Yeah. But
this card seems like 3 mana kill yourself. Like, it's a Quicksilver amulet, and you can assure people you don't have like a Blightsteel, but nobody really knows. So they're gonna be really afraid, and you're probably gonna get some beats, right?
Ooh,
look,
it's one of those things where you're like, I'm playing it fairly, and then no one believes you. And then if you are playing it fairly, you're gonna die. If you play unfairly, then you're a jerk, and then that's it.
Then like that's the line you gotta go down. But the thing is,
you gotta get aggressive. You gotta throw a gun.
Yes. I am willing to like shoulder that weight because I love this card and I love ninjutsu. So I don't even know, like, do I make my rogue deck into ninja deck, or do I split the difference? Oh my god, there's so many things. There's even that new lord that for rogues and ninjas. They should errata this. Just make it so all rogues and ninjas can be in the same deck and get benefit from each other.
You know what's funny? I think this card is good with only half of the text. Either half. Either the free anticipate on ninjutsu or ninjutsu everything for like 4 mana. I think if just had one of these at 3 mana 2/4, it'd still be like pretty good. People would be pretty hype. So it's funny that Ashi has both.
Do you think this is going to be an archenemy commander then? Like, I was thinking, oh, this is way less scary than Yuriko, so it's probably going to not get you killed. But maybe, like, the fear of the unknown thing, kind of like morphs. How everyone always freaks out about morphs. Maybe everyone is going to just, like, expect the Blightsteel or something and
it's
kill it on sight.
Amulet, right? Like
it's also not just Blightsteel that you can cheat out, right? Like there's the Praetors, like Jingataxias and stuff, but also there's like infinite combos with it, where like if you ninjutsu in Palinkron and I think it was like a Great Whale or something like that, where when these creatures enter the battlefield, you untap the same amount of lands as their mana cost. So you can generate infinite mana constantly ninjutsuing, and if you have something that has a leave the battlefield trigger, there's a 1 mana artifact that like mills everybody whenever a permanent enters the battlefield, and there's like Vela of the Nightclad, which whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, you pink everybody. So there's like multiple things you can do with this. So I know there's like people who are building it as CEDH, but there's also a lot of people who are building it as a fair ninja deck that's not Yuriko, because Yuriko can't be fair. Like it's in like you can't you could build a ninja deck with Yuriko and it still won't be fair because you'll just kill everybody very quickly.
It's kind of a bummer that the next step down is like pretty bad for ninjas. Like you got Yuriko, you got this, which might be both arch enemy commanders, and then the other legends they gave us are either like monocolored, which is awkward for ninjas because you want to be blue-black, the weird extirpate thing, which is just not designed for commander really, or the toad one that's like an enchantress commander. So you still don't really have like a fair quote unquote ninja commander. Like if this is also gonna turn you into arch enemy, still a little tough to know what to play as your ninja commander. Yeah,
I don't like the fact. I don't understand why they had to make it works for non-ninjas. Like, why couldn't it just work for ninjas and that's it? But just be more fear than Yuriko.
Everything being a ninja is kind of cool flavor though. I do like the flavor of it.
Yeah.
But like then maybe that should have been, like Richard said, like if that was the takeaway for this commander, then that's it. But then you get another ninja legendary that's just only about ninjas. I would have preferred that. But like, I mean, I think it's cool. If you say you're not running Blightsteel or infinite combos, I'll believe you, and then you're playing a fair ninja deck.
And die.
That's fine. You die.
Then like a 2020 enters the battlefield and smacks your face. You're like, oh, that wasn't a Blightsteel.
It's just an Ulamog. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even get the cast triggers. It's fair.
Very fair.
That's true. That's true though. I mean, but, okay. Outside of like the like when you think about it though, like obviously there's the Eldrazi version, but the fair version, come on, that one's cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool commander. I like it.
It is. Yeah, and if you have the buy box promo art, like I mean, you can't be.
Oh, I mean,
is this the Umezawa of the GT? How many Umezawas are there?
I think a descendant.
Is it a descendant?
Yeah, a descendant. Yeah.
I didn't read the story yet, but like, I don't think he's a descendant of Toshiro.
Or is this literally the guy?
He's of the same ancestry, because we met one of the descendants on Dominaria, because he got teleported to Dominaria at the end of the story. I don't know if he had kids before that though. I think he's just part of the same ancestry line. But anyway, yeah, he is tied to him. Moving on, Richard, what do you got for us as your top favorite?
All right, Kodama of the West Tree, 2 and a green, so 3 mana, 3/3, legendary creature, spirit at Mythic, reach. Modified creatures you control have trample, so modified means things with equipment, auras, or counters on them. And when a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So like a Toski, but for ramp.
Broken.
Yeah.
This is beyond ridiculous because modified is not as hard as you think it is, because +1/+1 counters count for modified. So I think this card is absolutely bonkers. It's probably a mistake. You want 3 mana, like ramp 4 or something? Like, here you go. Like, this is quite insane, actually.
I think you at least have to work for it a bit. Unlike Toski, which is like, you don't even need modified creatures. Oh, and by the way, can't be countered. Oh, and by the way, indestructible, by the way.
But ramp 4 is so much more powerful than draw 4.
Like this card's insane. This card's insane. Like, sure, obviously you're the +1/+1 counter deck, and you can live the dream of like ramping an insane amount. But I play things like Wood Elves. Wood Elves is like 3 mana, tutor up a land. Like playing this and just sticking a Greaves on it and hitting the person with no blockers and getting a land. Like that's reasonable value. Like even just that is reasonable value out of a commander deck. And this has like a million lines of text and upsides. Like it has the ceiling of like ramping you 10 lands or whatever, like some absurd thing. Like the card's so bonkers. It's so bonkers.
Wait, so you play Wood Elves in 2022? That's so cringe.
You don't play Wood Elves anymore? It's so good. The land even comes into play untapped.
It's like, I feel like it's gone its way out because of like these cards.
But I'm just saying, like, even if you get a land or 2 lands with this, can think about Kadama's Reach and Cultivate. It's like we focus on like the dream scenario, which is obviously awesome when it happens. But even if you play this and hit a couple people and ramp a couple times, that's worth 3 mana. And it does way more than that too.
It gives your Dousing Dagger creature trample to go over.
Of course it does.
Finally, Richard can get there.
Can you imagine? You hit someone with the Dousing Dagger, you get the flipped land plus another land. That's 4 land. Isn't that insane?
You literally you don't need to live the dream and like ramp out like 50 lands a turn. You just ramping out 1 land a turn is already pretty decent.
Everyone plays boots, right? Everyone has modified creatures because you play boots, right? You're in green. Yeah. You can get a +1/+1 counter on your creatures just randomly without like any synergy with lands and stuff. So like it's crazy. I think it's good enough that you actually start playing like Walking Ballista and other nonsense just for the ability to trigger Kadama, right? Like why not?
The real question is, does this make the one MDFC that I refuse to play playable? The one that just puts a single +1/+1 counter? Is this enough to make the one unplayable MDFC good?
That's a rampant growth all of a sudden.
Wait. I have a question, Seth. Is this a good enough payoff that you'll finally run basic lands in your deck?
I might add in like one or a couple more maybe. A couple more. I'm not gonna go full on Tomer and just play like 20 of them, but this is a reason to play more basic lands. It definitely
full
is.
Tomer.
Yeah.
1 combat and your deck's out of basics, even if you ran 10.
Yeah, but
you're like Avenger of Zendikar. Attack you. Shoot! I'm out of lands.
Trash. I only have 4 basic lands in my deck. This card is awful.
And it gives your
can't get MDFCs.
And even discounting the ramp altogether, like this gives your Voltron creatures trample, which is great. This gives your +1/+1 counter creatures that are huge trample. Like even discounting the ramp part, which is definitely the most explosive part, like this is a really good card for a lot of decks. I feel like so many decks can take advantage of this. This card is over the top.
So the top deck that I want to put this in, it's basically the same. It's 2 commanders.
This makes Kaldra good, Tomer. Kaldra now gets trample and ramps.
Kaldra have trample? I'm pretty sure.
Kaldra's already got
double trample.
No, but it has equipment. Well, he does have trample. Yeah, but whatever. But anyway, this is a cool one. There's Go Wide Tokens is an archetype, and it's led usually by like Tauren's Fists of the Angels, because it makes a bunch of tokens whenever you're playing creatures. So it like basically doubles the amount of creatures you're going to have on the battlefield. And then they all have training. So as soon as you attack, they start putting +1/+1 counters on themselves. So like imagine you like have Taurens, you have like 5 creatures with training. You attack with 1 big creature along with them. Boom, boom, boom. You ramp out 5 freaking basics. And it's like, there's not even like Christmas lane for Taurens. That's just what Taurens does. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, this card's real good.
Run more basics. Like anything, right? Like the one where landfall, you get +1/+1 counters. Like,
Avenger of Zendikar? Yeah. Avenger of Zendikar with this. You just attack with all your +1/+1 counter tokens, and then you ramp out 5, and now all of your
have trample too, by the way, now because of Kodama.
Yeah.
So
it's insane.
Kind of easy to break this card, I think. Just you need basics.
I hate this card.
I think we all had it on our list except you, Krim. Is it just because it's green, or do you hate something more specific about it?
Oh, well, I mean, it just does everything that I hate about green. So yes, I hate it because not just because it's a green card, but because it does everything that green does really well. But amplifies that up a bit more. So,
It's not a May though, Krim. You can opposition agent and basically mill them of all their basics.
Yeah, but you see, every year, every set that comes out, opposition agent is an ability and a card that is needed more and more. And I now this is just like too much pressure for my one lone opposition agent. Maybe now I do need to run tutors just so I can find it.
And if it's a Simic deck and they're just ready for your opposition agent, now they have all this extra mana, so they'll just channel Otawara, or I don't know how to say the name, Otawara, Soaring City, and just bounce opposition before you can even get it.
Yeah. See now, the green decks are sliding farther away in the power creep. Oh,
All will be Simic. All right, moving on. My second pick for my personal favorite cards from the set. This one is an equipment that I've been waiting a long time to see. This is Line Sash. This is a 2-mana, 1 and a white, 1/1 artifact creature equipment cat. So that's right. It's a creature, but it's also an equipment. So it starts off as a 1/1, and it has an activated ability that says you pay 1 white, and you get to exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash. So this is essentially like a Scavenging Ooze, where Scavenging Ooze was 2 mana, 2/2 creature in green that had the same ability. You pay 1 green, you can exile 1 card, and if it was a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter and you gain a life. This one is any permanent, you get a +1/+1 counter instead. You don't gain a life though. And it has Reconfigure, which means you can pay 2 and attach this creature, creature to a creature you control, and now it becomes an equipment, and it gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash and the activated ability. So it's like a Scavenging Ooze that can reconfigure itself into an equipment in white. I love this card because I have an equipment deck, and I've always wanted an equipment that doubles as graveyard hate, because you get extra equipment synergy. Like you can equip this for free if you have Pure Steel Paladin out, or you can flash it in with Sigarda's Aid and equip it for free that way. And even without the equipment side, it's still a very good card. Like it's just a Scavenging Ooze is a good card still in Commander, and now White has it, and probably I would say like a superior version of it, because you get the counters more easily onto it, and you can have it dodge wraths and whatever by equipping it to a creature. So when the board gets wiped, the Lion Sash remains afterwards. So like I don't know, this card's sick. I like it a lot.
I feel like this is just auto-include for equipment decks, right? Like if you have those synergies like Stoneforge, you include it. Plus it is an equipment, so it's triggering your SRAM or whatever, even if you just play it naturally as a creature. Like so good. I don't know if I just play it. Would you play it? Richard, you're the white weenie expert. What if you don't have equipment synergies? Like, does this stand alone without equipment synergies, or do you gotta have those synergies for it to be worth it?
I was with you guys until they spoiled Farewell. Now that we have Farewell, I 100% do not need this. Like, why do I need Graveyard Hate? Like, I don't need it, right? So I have Farewell, like, good enough. So I actually would not play this in equipment or non-equipment decks.
What?
Like, I don't play Skoos. Like, I don't play Skoos as just a random card, right? Like, I need to have the counter synergy to play Skoos. I don't care. Like, I just play a Rest in Peace if I really was worried about the graveyard, but clearly I'm greedy and I don't. So at Farewell will be the card that I lean heavily on for the one piece of graveyard interaction. Farewell in Bajuka Bog is where I'm at here.
Not even for being on theme in an equipment deck, you wouldn't run it?
But what, like, this doesn't do anything. Like, yes, I
But
can
you
draw a card
tutor
off
it
Pure
up
Steel,
and stuff.
but I don't know. I gotta sink mana to grow my thing. Like, I'd rather just play Colossus Hammer or something, right? Like,
But you could.
Darksteel Axe.
It's nice to have
tutor it up.
It's nice to have a mana sink if you don't have anything going on. Like, worst case with 4 graveyards, you can probably grow this pretty big, especially since it hits on any permanent, not just creatures. Like, eat some fetch lands, make a big thing.
It's okay. I'm not especially excited. It also dies to a Wrath. You have to actually
Well, it
equip
can
it.
dodge wrath, so if it's equipped to stuff.
Yeah.
So
But we have farewell. Like, everything's going, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
that's
the
true.
sash, the creatures, the great, everything's going anyway. So, like, does it
yeah,
really
but how
matter?
do you tutor up farewell when you need it?
The
This one you
best
can
part is
tutor
it
up
triggers
really easily.
Kodama, okay? It triggers Kodama.
Yes. It works really well with Cartographer's Hawk too, because now that you can grow the Cartographer's Hawk so it can't get chump blocked as easily. It's a little 1/1 body.
Bounce itself off the sash, you get exposed to a wrath.
The synergy. All right, moving on. We got Seth. What's your final card that you're hyped for?
Oh, well, honestly, there's a lot of cards in this set that I'm hyped for, but we couldn't get them on the list. The last one that actually made it onto the list is a Spirit Sister's Call, a Orzhov mythic enchantment that says, at the beginning of your end step, you can choose a permanent card in your graveyard, and then you can sack a permanent that shares a card type with a chosen card. If you do, you basically swap them. You get the one from the graveyard, the other one goes into the graveyard. The one that comes into play gets an ability where if it would leave the battlefield, it goes to exile instead of going anyplace else. Basically, a homage to Recurring Nightmare that hits any permanent, repeatable reanimation, and I just love value. I love slow value decks. And this to me is just a really cool value-y card. You can do some crazy things with it. Since it can hit any permanent, this is sack some random cheap rune, get back omniscience, sack a treasure token. Like, this is Goblin Welder, or Trash for Treasure, but also Recurring Nightmare. Like, all of those things put together in one. So I think it's just like a really cool value card. Of course, it's weak to graveyard hate. It's really slow. This is, I think, if you're trying to get back some big thing and win the game, this card's not very good. Where this shines is in your Panharmonicon deck, where you're looking to get back Muldrifters every single turn and looping through them for value. Like, that's where this card's really going to shine. Also, there's some tricks here. Because it exiles the permanent that you reanimate when it leaves the battlefield, you can kind of get around that with blink effects. There's a trick with Obsidat, I don't know if you've ever seen this, where you can reanimate it with Goryo's Vengeance and keep it because it exiles itself. So you get around Goryo's Vengeance exile ability. You can kind of do the same thing with this. So if you have like Teleportation Circle or something that also exiles, you can reanimate something, blink it to the Teleportation Circle, it's still going to exile, so you get around it, and then it's a real permanent, so you can keep looping the same two things over and over again if you want to, if you had one more piece to the puzzle. So I just think it's a really cool value card for grindy style decks, and I'm excited to give it a try.
I was just thinking of what Richard would say about this card. He's like, it's trash and dies to farewell.
That's every card. Every card.
Sash.
Well, technically,
Unplayable trash.
technically doesn't die. It gets exiled to farewell, so it never dies.
This is like the commander dies to Doublade. It's like it gets exiled by farewell. It's garbage.
It's also nice
It's
that
actually pretty good.
and it triggers on your end step, so you get one right
Yeah,
away.
it's really good.
Wait, what does Deadbridge Chant do? Does that bring it back to the battlefield, but it's random?
That one's not good.
That one is
Yeah, but
that
only
one
if it's a
is not good
permanent.
anymore. Man, that was actually, that card was like kind of good in Commander for a minute, but yeah, not anymore.
If it hits a
This one
creature,
would-
it does come back, right? But you don't control it. It's just random.
Yeah, it's random.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's random and it's a creature. You don't have to sacrifice anything, but yeah, it's very inconsistent. I like this one a lot. I also like the synergy with Teleportation Circle. I never thought about that, Seth. And Teleportation Circle's in white, so it makes sense.
Or Ephemerid or
kind of reminds me
Brago.
of
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It kind of also reminds me of like Gen. Like I would put this in a Gen deck because Gen's all about like, sacrificing enchantments and getting back an enchantment. So this is kind of like a backup Gen type effect. And I really like that it triggers on your end step. So you don't have to wait until your next upkeep. You don't have to wait an entire turn cycle for it to come back to get some value out of it. You're going to get it on the same turn, which I like. And I think the art is like also super sweet. I like the art a lot.
Yeah, the art is definitely cool. When you consider that, like, Obsidat's aids 5 mana to just reanimate a permanent, and this is that, but you can do it every single turn. Sure, you got to sack something, but I assume you're going to build around it in a way that could even be an upside to be sacking stuff. Like, it's filling your graveyard with stuff to reanimate the next turn, and maybe you reuse its ETB or whatever. The card just seems very, very good at what it does, and super fun to play. It's just so fun.
Voidwalker's stock just went up.
Yeah, I am a little
Everybody,
worried.
you have to run your farewell. to get rid of
Farewell
this-
does
this-
kind of blow it out. That is true.
I mean, farewell sorcery speed, right? You get at least one reanimation off of it.
Yeah,
so,
like,
it's
no,
that's not the end, right? It's not as bad as having a rest in peace on the battlefield or turn one Planar Void or something, right? Like that will like actually blow you out.
Regardless of farewell and all of its, like talk around right now, I still think Spirit Sister is like such a powerful card. It's 5 mana. It's
good in Spirit
it's
Sisters. We found
good
it.
in Spirit Sisters.
Yes. Good Soul Sisters. Here we go.
It's got like sisters in the name. It's got to go in that deck. No, like legit though. Like I think this card's amazing. So still.
All right, sweet. Krim, what do you got as your second card that you're excited for?
Something that doesn't get around farewell either. It's Mirror Box. So Mirror Box is a super duper cool artifact. If you were a fan of already Mirror Gallery, Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Well, now you do have another card to add to those kind of decks. It's a 3 mana artifact. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. So you've got some Anthem effects tied to this now. This is going specifically. I already know what deck I'm going to throw this in. There's a commander product with a dog commander, and I'm making a blue-white Sakashima Doggo deck, and I'm going to be cloning that. I'm going to this card's going to go right in there. This is perfect, right? Like for clone decks and stuff like that. And I have one, and this card is exactly what we need more of, right? Because oftentimes you're afraid of just having my Sakashima or my Mirror Gallery gets blown up, and then all my stuff goes away, right? Because the legend rule applies again. So the more of these that just keep coming out, the better. And why not throw some Anthem effects on it? And it's also cheaper. It's 3 mana. So this card is going to be pretty popular, considering that Mirror Gallery is like a $30 card or something right now. So this is going to be great.
Mirror Gallery should not be a $30 card.
Is it strange that I see this card and I think of Seven Dwarves and like Shadowborn Apostles, right? Like this is like, this is perfect. It's like a coat of arms, but like way cheaper.
Yeah, it's a card. It's a lower cost coat of arms for
I'm all down for Seven Dwarves Mirror Box. Like, what legendaries? Like, what? Who cares?
Shadowborn Apostle.
And it's good only for your stuff.
Rats.
So you don't have to worry about your opponents all of a sudden killing you if you like Anthem your whole team, because coat of arms.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite cards from the thing as well. And this is why I'm super stoked for it. It works really well with Kaldra. Now hear me out.
Wait, what? Does it?
Hear me out. So Kaldra, when you assemble all 3 Kaldra pieces, you can pay, I think it's like 1 white mana to summon the legendary Kaldra Avatar. And it's a legendary avatar. That's the important thing. So the power of Kaldra is so great that only 1 token can be on the battlefield at any given time, or else the universe would collapse under its awesome weight. But Mirror Box allows you to get around the legendary rule. So now for the low cost of 1 mana, you can make an army of Kaldra tokens. Every 1 mana you spend, you produce another Kaldra token.
They're just vanilla 4/4s, right? Like the Kaldra without the equipment? Okay.
Exactly.
Pretty good rate.
For
1 mana,
mana
4/4.
You make a 4/4 token at instant speed. How do you lose?
That is hilarious. Although it's also hilarious that now we're up to four Kaldra pieces necessary to do it. Pretty soon you're just gonna need like 12 different pieces to do a cool Kaldra thing.
It's because the Kaldra equipment itself is not powerful enough to close the game. You need Mirror Box to make an army of Kaldra tokens.
Look, now you can clone Mech Titan, and then you could make an army of Kaldra token pilots for your vehicles. This is insane.
I mean, it is actually like, I know we're kind of memeing about Kaldra a little bit, but it is really interesting with things that make legendary tokens. Well, I don't know if I'd say a lot, but there's several commanders like a Tolsimer Wolf-Blooded that taps to make a legendary token. Really, really powerful. Just tap to make a 4/4. It's kind of absurd, but you only have 1 of them that kind of ruins it. So it's really cute that this works really well with those commanders. And that's what I love about this card is like, it just does so many little things. It's there for the Persistent Petitioners decks. It's there for Kaldra shenanigans. shenanigans. It's there for Crim's clone decks. Like, it doesn't break any one specific thing, but there's so many like little tiny synergies that make this card really, really interesting.
Yeah.
All right. The final card on our list. Richard, take it away.
Oh, I'm closing out the list. Now, I know we said we weren't doing a power ranking, but I'm going to put the most powerful card in the set here. And that would be Spirited Companion. Now, if you're looking on the spoiler site, you have to go to the common section. It's a common. 2 mana,
Power
1 and a
creep
white.
in 2022.
1/1. Enchantment creature dog. When Spirited Companion enters the battlefield, draw a card. So basically, a white 2 mana 1/1 that cycles itself. And this is exactly what white needs. Now, you may look at it, you're like, that's ridiculous, Richard. But let me paint you a picture here. White has so many blink shenanigans, right? And people have to play things like whatever the wall is, the 0/4 wall that can't attack.
Owns?
Right? Yeah. So you can ephemerate, you can Restoration Angel, you can do the other angel that saves all your creatures, you can Sun Titan. This triggers all your card draw, Mentor of the Meek, Welcoming Vampire. It clamps itself. It's a Skull Clamp. You can Savine's Reclamation this thing back. It is just so much value as a blink target, and it holds a Dousing Dagger. It is actually like a really good card, and why white is so strong. Like, people meme on white because they're not using cards like this to blink to draw more cards, right? To return back with Ameria or Sun Titan or whatever to whatever, right? Like, a 2 mana 1/1 that does this is actually insane because white doesn't have this currently. The only similar things are like Baleful Strix, not in white. You see me play Sky Scanner, which is 3 mana. There's a 3 mana 2/1 that draws a card in white. But that's 3 mana. This is 2 mana. It's like so good.
I actually
Ladies and
agree.
gentlemen,
And it's
this
best
is the
dog.
person with the
It's a
highest
dog.
win rate.
Look at this puppers.
I will say, like, yes, Richard, this card is good because it is a dog. That is an adorable
Yeah.
Shiba, and I will 100% get down with that. And on top of that, people play Elvish Visionary. So,
Yes.
like, why not play this? So, yeah, okay, I don't know if this is going to, like, end the game or anything like that, but this is definitely something that can give you card draw and kind of, like, give you an engine or, like, something that you can blink and, like, kind of accrue value from. So, I do like
Remember when Seth had to use a Spike Field Hazard to answer the Sky Scanner? You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how powerful this card is.
Now I feel vindicated for playing Spikefield Hazard. Now it's going up in value set by set in Commander. But this
I
card
need
is
to
like
counter it with the green +1/+1 counter one.
Oh, and it's modified.
MDFC Wars. I mean, this card is legitimately good, and it's even an enchantment creature. So if you have a Sethis or some sort of Enchantress deck, this is like even better in those style decks where you're getting like draw 2 and supporting all your synergies. Best dog. I think it's the best dog ever in Magic. Most powerful dog they've ever printed, and I'm not even like I'm not even being hyperbolic.
Whoa, there's a legendary dog.
Yoshimaru?
Yeah.
Yoshimaru's not very good.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, I don't know about Bliss.
We
Okay,
hear about
dog
the,
tier
the
list
white
here?
and
Next week on
recall?
Commander Class Dog Tier List. Next podcast, rank them.
Yeah. Did you ever hear about the white ancestral recall of Yoshimaru?
Wait,
So it has partner, you see. And so that means you can have more than one commander at any given time. So it costs 1 white. And you partner it with another commander that can draw you some cards, you see. It's Tevish Svat. And Tevish Svat says
wow.
you can
Tomer.
sacrifice a creature, draw
Tomer
2 cards
sacking
if
the
it's
dog?
commander.
Yeah.
You
No,
murdering
I
monkeys on
wouldn't.
We're
I
Commander
gonna,
wouldn't
Clash?
do
we're
it.
gonna be
I
getting
wouldn't
hate
do it.
mail from this plan.
No.
Yeah.
I just heard.
Change your
that
phone
you
number.
could do this. And then you eat for 1 white mana, you ancestral recall. I wouldn't do that though. That would be awful, and I also didn't want to be canceled on the podcast.
The funny thing is, you do it with Rogek or whatever, like for 0 mana. So
Yeah.
you don't even really gotta beat up the dog. You're better off just beating up the Kobold if you got a choice.
Whoa. Rogak is not.
Nobody said it's hypotheticals. Nobody said anything. Like,
Oh, yeah, sack the kobold. That's fine. Whatever.
comment section. Don't be mad. I'm just pointing it out because people mentioned it to me. Hypotheticals.
Comment section. Should we refire Tomer based on his dog sacking opinions?
No.
I'm kidding. I mean, the card's
I
good
think
though.
it was. Yeah, I think this card's all right. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit memey. It's just
You cannot slap
it's
in
just an
all
Elvish
white decks.
No.
Elvish Visionary is a good card.
I think
I wouldn't put
I
it in
pretty much
Commander.
would.
It's fine.
I mean,
But it's pretty low impact by itself. Like, I don't want to, like, yeah, it gets better with blink effects. So I would put it in a deck. I would put it specifically in decks that can mass blink your board. So if you have a bunch of these type of effects, you draw like 3 or 4 or something like that. And that's legitimate, but like, just by itself, it's just like it's a 1/1. Its utility is that it cantrips itself and it can hold like a sword. And if you blink it, it will get a little bit better, but not if you just target blink it. That's kind of sketch. But if you mass blink everything, it's okay. Like,
I mean,
You would have
this
learned
doesn't seem
after
very
watching me
good.
play an entire season of Commander Clash of Skyscanner. This is the most powerful Magic card of all time. You don't get attacked.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
You get to
dog.
bring it back. It's a dog. It's man's
it
best
stronger
friend.
or weaker than Cartographer's Hawk, Richard?
Stronger.
Strong.
Definitely stronger. Definitely stronger. I think you actually, because I think all white decks are blink decks. Like, you can always get value in white with blink.
What about stacks?
Huh?
Stacks.
Stacks?
You said all white decks are blink decks. What about
No.
stacks?
But like
They
all decks
blink.
can take advantage of this blinking ability, right? Like you don't have to build a deck around blinking. Is what I'm saying. You don't have to build Brago or something. You can just put it in a arbitrary white deck, and it cycles and is a body and is a recursion target. Like, you play Savine's Reclamation, right? This allows you to just draw a card with Savine's Reclamation, right? If you need, right?
That's what I want to do with Savine's Reclamation, though.
It's
I mean,
I want to get a land or a better permanence.
I mean, you're
a
also
card.
I think you're also
Oh.
like kind of overlooking that Wall of Omens is like sort of a white staple, and like this
Is
is.
it?
I mean,
is,
it's listed in the
yeah.
top like 25 creatures or something on EDH Rec in white. Like it's one of their most played creatures.
It's a
But
travesty you can't hold a dowsing dagger.
that's what I was gonna say. Like in white in
dog,
specific, you
Yeah,
care about
sort of.
equipment so much. Like this is probably just better Wall of Omens, and Wall of Omens is already good. So I think Richard has me sold on this one actually being good.
I mean, I agree that it's decent in mass blink decks, but I don't think most white. I wouldn't even say most white decks are.
All right, I'll build a Voltron deck
Tomer.
with this so I can kill Tomer with it. We'll put some Cauldron
All right.
pieces on it.
Well, if you kill me with Cauldron pieces, then it's the Cauldron that actually did all the work, Richard.
What if I
You know-
assemble
you know that
Cauldron
they
and
do
then
that.
exile them all to the Voltron card?
That's their own. That would actually make them more useful than they currently are. So sure.
That would protect them from the farewell. So big brain plays.
Oh, that's true.
You
That's
anticipate the
that's
farewell.
actually pretty clever.
No, but you have to turn them into creatures first, because
Yeah.
you can only exile them with creatures or vehicles.
Oh, it's just creatures or vehicles, not artifacts.
so you have
not
to turn
equipment.
Cauldron pieces into creatures first with like Karn or something, and then so those layers of here.
All right, flat veiled.
All right.
a
Okay,
lot
so
of
that
work.
that was our list. Our top 10. 10.
10. Yes.
Yes, we are top 10 because we want to get that internet-friendly title on the video/podcast. Boom, nailed it. So as we're ending things, what do you all think about this set overall compared to other previous sets? How good is it, or how bad is it for Commander?
I feel like this question has lost all of its value to me because every set is so good in Commander now. Like when we used to ask this 5 years ago, sometimes we would actually say, oh, this set's not good for Commander. But now every set has so many good Commander cards. I think this is another great Commander set, and I don't know, in some ways, maybe better than average because it has a lot of things that people have been wanting for a long time. Shrine Commanders and Return to Ninjas and some really popular stuff that we haven't seen in 20 years. So I would say at least average and maybe above average because of the nostalgia factor and meeting some of these expectations that people have been waiting for a really long time.
Yeah. This has just been a plane that we wanted to go back to, right, for a very long time. And the plane, the last time we were there, wasn't actually all that great card-wise outside of a few things. This is definitely actually like surpassed my expectations for the set. Between the different, they really went hard with the cool looking alternate artworks. They pulled different, like, 'cause like Commander, I think there's lots of things in Magic like that are on display there. You have people who just love the artwork, right? So they nail that on this front. People that love like some sweet card design, that's here. And then there's, of course, there's just fun cards, fun build rounds like Mech Titan, right? So like, I think they hit a bit of every checkbox along the way for this set for Commander. Art, fun, build arounds, just whatever it is you want. There's something here for you in this set. So, is this like the best like set ever to exist in Commander? Probably not, but this is one of the coolest planes and a really well done set all around. This was awesome, and I'm kind of sad it's only one set. This is the one where I wish we were here for like a whole block.
I actually challenge Krim's point that this is probably the greatest Commander set ever. you could have called this Commander Legends, and no one would have noticed. Like, is there even a standard set in here? All I see are like 6+ mana, weird, synergistic things. So to me, this is Commander Legends. Like, all these cards work really well in Commander. They've given us arguably a ton of staples for Commander. And a lot of cool build around me legendaries. So this looks like Commander Legends to me.
It could be. It very well could be.
It's funny, like that was a meme a couple years ago, but now it's just like standard sets are Commander first, you know, like
you gotta filter the cards for the standard playable cards now, right? As opposed to 5 years ago where we filtered the standard cards for Commander cards, right?
Yeah, and these set boosters have Commander specific cards as well and stuff. Like it's not like standard set boosters, it's Commander set boosters essentially. I think one thing that I found interesting about this set, not just the cards themselves. I like a lot of the cards. I think they did a really good job making certain things really interesting. Like vehicles were underdeveloped archetype. Like we got them in Kaladesh, and we got little pieces of them in like Ixalan and whatnot. But this was a set that like really gave us a lot of options. We got a bunch of new commanders, 2-color commanders that all are white overlapping as options for your vehicles. So I really like that. And the thing that kind of is interesting is when I first heard about Neon Kamigawa, I was like, cyberpunk in Magic, mechs in Magic? What is going on? This is nonsense. I want my medieval fantasy. And now that it came out, I'm like, you know what? I like it. I like it a lot. And that like leads to me because, you know, they mentioned they called like last year or 2 years ago, they said Warhammer's coming, right? And everybody was like, once Warhammer shows up, there will be a massive divide in the community. Well, guess what? Neon Dynasty Kamigawa came out, mechs everywhere, cyberpunk everywhere. The leap from here to Warhammer is not very big. So you know what? Bring your Warhammer 50K gunships. You know, it's time. Let's just do it. You already sold me on mechs.
Omen Keel just looks better and better, right? So if we go to Warhammer, Omen Keel just continues to get better. Why not?
Yeah. All right, so that's our show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our take on our favorite cards. Again, not a power level scaling. It's just what we're hyped for, what we want to be playing. And we want to hear from you all. What cards are you super excited to pick up and try out from the latest set? Let us know. You can reach us out, reach to us either if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment in the comment section, or if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to this, you can just send us you can send us a tweet at Twitter, #ClashMail, and you can reach to us that way as well. And if you want to support the show, you can do two things. Yeah, first of all, you can like and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're listening to it on YouTube, but you can also support us financially by going to the mtggoldfishmerch.com store and pick up all those lovely playmats stapled on Richard's wall, deck boxes, tokens, sleeves, all that and more at mtggoldfishmerch.com. And that's our show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, friends, see ya.